We are 2 weeks into set 11 and a reroll meta has emerged. Today, I'm going to take you through the top 5 comps for the April 1st patch, including units, items, and positioning. Without further ado, let's go! Fish Reroll is a 1-cost melee carry comp that revolves around finding 3-star fish as soon as possible and buffing it as much as possible. Fish's ability gives AD and HP to random units on its team whenever it increases in star level. The real reason we reroll Fish is because it has the highest base stats of any 1-cost in the game. We can support this early hyper roll strategy by picking up 2-cost swans for more early game econ. Fish Reroll is an early game tempo comp. While you do have scaling options through the mid and late game, your focus is to deal as much player damage as possible early game, as you will get outcapped by legendary boards. Most of your game plan is going to be spent collecting copies of Fish and buffing it through consumable items and supportive units, with Rabbit and Penguin being wonderful mid game options. You can also play a duo carry that scales behind Fish, such as Kangaroo or Dodo. In the late game, we have a lot of legendary flex options, so generally just play what you hit. For itemization, grab a held item for Fish in the mid or late game. My personal preference is Garlic, since you want Fish to be alive as long as possible, and it usually already has a very high ID. An early Chili can get you good splash damage if you're struggling against Summoner or support comps. For positioning, Fish is a frontliner with his high HP, but you can move it to the second row to counter position against Scorpion. Gremlin Shiv Reroll is a low-cost hyper-roll comp revolving around playing many different cards in a fight. While Shiv Reroll existed back in set 2, the Sneaky Gremlin trait completes the board by dealing 3 damage to a random enemy every time an attack is played. We play around units that generate Shivs, which are 0-cost damage, and Pinpricks, which are also 0-cost attacks that replace themselves by drawing a card. We want to use the other traits in our toolkit when we draw units that are more defensive. The Shield Gremlin trait gives armor every time you play a skill unit. We can also rotate into Fat Gremlin for CC, and Wizard and Mad Gremlins for more damage on our next round. This comp spikes with certain encounters, especially if you high roll. The encounter with the Augmenter is especially powerful, as it gives you access to the Augment Mutagenic Strength, spiking your damage hard at the start of the fight, similar to Manazane or Depthfire Grasp. You even get 2 Reforgers if you choose to use them. For positioning, use units like Tag Team and Patsy to tag in the Sneaky trait when you have a lot of damaged units. 2-star Tag Team is also good, as you can hold it on your bench to swap your main unit to whatever fits best. Speedroids are yet another reroll comp which plays around 3 costs. The goal of the board is to play low-cost units to combine into legendaries, which have an extensive toolkit. The first main play is with Speedroid Terror Top. Use its effect to add any Speedroid units you're missing to your bench, then place them on the board. You can combine your extra Speedroids into Rubber Band Shooter, whose ability allows you to add another Speedroid to your board. You can then mech pilot your Speedroids into Speedroid Cork Shooter, which will return your low-cost units, and then you can use those to get out your legendaries. We can also get to this point by opening with the unit Kashtira Unicorn, who can be played in the early game and summon a copy of itself, providing us with enough money to go 10. This board does have an issue with a lack of backline access, although we can tech into the unit Pegasus Ignister to solve this. Positioning in this comp doesn't really matter, because you probably already lost to hand traps anyway. Potato Parsnip Reroll is yet another reroll strategy that's meta relevant on this patch. We actually played the econ up as much as possible in the early game to roll down for Strawberry Seeds during the Egg Festival encounter on stage Spring 13. After we get the strawberries down, we hit a huge power spike where we'll have enough econ to go fast 9 on stage Summer 1. This strategy leaves us with a good amount of econ for only having to play towards the farming vertical trait. While it's not the most efficient comp you can play, it takes a lot less APM as a more relaxed playstyle. It's also not as reliant on RNG compared to clay farming and mixed seeds, although there is a possibility that you low roll your potatoes. An underground alternative is rerolling Kale, which gives less board strength and money, but more XP, much like the Exalted trait in the early game. In the first stage, positioning doesn't affect your game, but as you progress, you'll need to position your carries around your augment buffs like Quality Sprinklers and Junima Huts. Protein Flex is our final comp and the only fast 8 or standard comp on the list for this patch. We're looking to play solid units like 1 1/3 to 2 copies of proteins depending on our board, a scoop of peanut butter for frontline, and a legendary flex spot of any fruit for flavor and vitamins, usually half a banana. We can fill the rest of our board with 10 milliliters of milk or water based on your econ coming to the stage. Where this comp really shines is the augments. My favorite is Creatine, which adds solid strength and tankiness to your board. There are some riskier augments you can play like Anabolic Accelerator, which will spike your board very hard, but actually has a much lower average placement. For positioning, I actually prefer placing the milk or water in the background